Mhm. The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Sports Gambling Podcast Network Bracket Challenge. Although the Bracket Challenge is over, it's a $2,000 winner takes all. If you entered, good luck to you. D-Rock, how's your bracket going so far?
Dead.
Dead?
Absolutely dead.
Oh, man. All right. So yeah. So we hopefully everybody got in there with that, and we can be good to go. But today we'll be talking about the AL Central, some win totals, overall thoughts about the conference, pretty much what we've been doing throughout this process. So me and D-Rock here to break it down with you guys. D-Rock, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Bracket's dead. This AL Central probably had its best season in quite some time. 3 teams went to the postseason last year. Don't know if I'm that positive on them this year. We'll take a look, but yeah, it should be good.
Yeah, how is your bracket dead already, bro?
Oh, I mean, I took High Point to advance.
Okay.
I took Louisville to advance.
Oh yeah, you did. Okay,
And then
right,
I took San Diego State, and they got blown out by 1 trillion.
Okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a little more sense. Yeah. But so yeah, we'll just go through a basic, just overall, like how we're going to plan to do the show. So we'll go from bottom to top. We'll go from win totals, I guess. We use DraftKings win total markets. Obviously, lines are all over the place. They've changed since the beginning of the year. So make sure you shop around for sure. And if you got, and D-Rock, if you got any like exotic props or whatever the case may be, we can just maybe do that for later on. And if we got anything award wise you want to talk about, we can go through that. But let's start with the bottom. So we'll start with the Chicago White Sox win total. Bro, their win total 53.5 on DraftKings. 53.5. It's pretty much $1.10 each way. I mean, that's got to be one of the lowest win totals we've seen in quite some time. It's not a ton to say, D-Rock, with the White Sox. I mean, if you want to start it off and give your overall thoughts, then we can go from there. But it's not a ton you can say about this organization or this specific team coming up.
Yeah, obviously, no team lost more games last year than the White Sox. 41 and 121. I mean, that's the good thing about that, Lonte, is things can only go up from here, right? I mean, they're
Maybe.
obviously maybe it's a strong maybe. So I think they're going to continue to rely on like a lot of their young movement. They got a first-year manager, Will Venables, as well. They traded away Garrett Crochet. They got a prospect haul from Boston. The guy that they're really high on, the Kyle Teal, he's one of their top prospects. So hopefully he could find his way to the majors maybe sometime this season. I guess one guy you got to keep an eye on this year, Lewis Robert Jr. I mean, the outfielder, especially if his name continues to be in trade conversations. He's 27. And they could probably get another solid haul of prospects to whoever he's traded from. He has a favorable contract. It's on the team till 2028. He is 2 years removed from making the All-Star. And I just think if he isn't dealt, he has to be the best player on the team by a wide margin.
Easily.
So, yeah, well, obviously nothing to do with the pennant, World Series, or Central. The win total is very interesting because it's dropped 8 games, making the team's lowest preseason total since 1990. Last year it was at 61.5. Now it's dropped 8 games. Surprisingly enough, Lonte, I'm going to go over their win total. I wish I grabbed the opening line. It opened up at 51.5, but I agree with the line movement. I don't think the White Sox will be as bad as last year. Call it positive regression or maybe the first step of the rebuild. It doesn't really matter, but there are going to be more wins to be in the AL Central, in my opinion. And, They finished with just 10 victories in their division last year. That's just terrible. You got to imagine they'll have a little more than that. So my numbers, they came out around 60 to 61 games for the White Sox this year. Still bad, but I think 53.5 is extremely low. And to be honest, a little disrespectful. So yeah, I'm gonna take the over 53.5 wins.
Well, yeah, I'll probably be right there with you. I mean, the division is not as I think a lot of. I mean, we'll get to it, but I think a couple of teams maybe regress back to the mean and not as good as they were last year, and so there'll be some wins there. And winning 10 games in the division, I mean, 10 games in the division is disgusting. Just to be quite honest, but this is the first back-to-back 100 loss season in franchise history. They used 63 different players. 17 of those were pitchers. Another guy, I know you mentioned one of their other top prospects. Another guy that they were high or that they are high on is going to play shortstop, Colston Montgomery. So I'm hearing good things about him and some of the things that he's been doing. But I mean, you gotta just hope that some of these young guys that are in your farm system or that have been, grinding it out in AA, AAA are just going to get opportunities, and you may, strike gold on one or two or two or three in their case, or maybe 4 or 5. But that's what you're banking your season on. And I think it'll be spots here and there where you can kind of get in, like bet them as big dogs, especially against these teams like, maybe they're coming off a rough series, like the Dodgers coming off a series against Atlanta, or, the Yankees coming off a series versus the Mets, or you're going to catch them in good spots during the season to bet, especially as big dogs. So I think they will be better than last year, and that's not saying much. Right now, I just think that I just got to see it first, man. So I think it's really important that they get off into a really good start. And by good start, I mean at least close to 500 as you can, because when the season starts, it's guys figuring things out. Some guys are like coming in different pieces. Pitchers haven't been figured out. It's not. I mean, obviously, it's data there, but this is a new season. They haven't seen them, live. So I think it's really important for them to come out of the gates really good, surprise some people here and there. So I'm with you. I would go over the win total. I mean, thankfully, we don't absolutely have to. But I do think it'll be like spots that you'll be able to play them in certain areas and places like that. But overall, yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I just think we got to see some growth from those younger guys. I mean, they got to, like you said, they got the haul back over the last year for the pitchers, and I'm interested to see how they come out. Obviously, embarrassing past 2 seasons, so the city of Chicago is definitely going to need them to be relevant.
They're itching for a relevant team now.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, the Cubs are supposed to be giving them some hope there too. So
we'll give them a break. They played the Dodgers the first 2 games.
Yeah. I ain't looking too much into that. But yeah, White Sox, it would be over nothing for me. And overall, just I mean, I think they'd just be more competitive. That's all you can ask for. If they're competitive, then I think they'll be fine. Losing is fine, but as long as you're competitive. I mean, nobody's going to expect them to win the pennant or anything like that. So
yeah.
So yeah, that's all I have for the White Sox. You got anything else for the White Sox before we move on?
Yeah, no, I just think you could. I mean, 53.5 is just so low. Like, what they say, the good thing about being at rock bottom, the only way you could go is up. So yeah, hopefully I'm gonna, and like you said, I agree. I think they're gonna be so out. The books are going to misprice them so much, especially early on in this season, that there are going to be spots that we could take the White Sox.
Yeah, I agree. So, but Luis Robert is really he's really good.
Yeah, he is good.
Yeah, he's good, and I think that
he's young.
Halfway through the season, they'll ship. I mean, obviously, I don't think there'll be like.
Imagine they're in playoff contention.
I mean,
hey, we look like the smartest people then.
Yeah. So, but I'm interested to see some of the prospects that they got coming up that I was reading about. They're going to need some pitching. So, I mean, I'd be shocked if he's there, in the middle of the year. So yeah, that's enough White Sox. I think we probably spent the most time that anybody spent on the White Sox. But yeah, so we can move on to, the next team, which is by win total is the Cleveland Guardians. They're at 82.5 $. This is on DraftKings. So this is $1.05 to go over, $1.15 to go under. Cleveland. I'll start it off with the Cleveland Guardians. D-Rock. So my thing with My thing with the Guardians is okay. Well, let me just start from the top. So this division, the top few teams are somewhat of the same to me. They lost Josh Naylor, they lost Andres Jimenez, they lost Matt Boyd, they lost Alex Cobb. They added Luis Ortiz from Pittsburgh, who was okay. David Fry and Bieber are out with Tommy John, but they're expected to be back. I mean, I don't think it's a timetable on it, but they are expected to be back, which is a positive. And Bieber is big for this rotation, like huge for this rotation. They won 92 last year, but they were a bit fortunate, I would say. I still think their weakness is, the same. Their rotation is it's okay. It's not good. Um, they got an elite bullpen. That's how they won. They won with elite bullpen, good defense, and they hit in certain spots where they were supposed to hit in. And I mean, I think their bullpen just pushed them to so many more wins than what they should have had. Now, granted, that's still there, but I think the division being up a little bit is going to bring them down a little bit. So I'm going towards the under. I know Noel has a chance to be a potential star. He's coming off a bad postseason where he was, I think, 2 of 21 in the postseason. So he's looking to get that bad taste out of his mouth. Yeah, I'm still down. I'm down on the Guardians. I'm going under 82.5. I just think they didn't do enough in the offseason to address their main issue, and that's they just don't have the top end talent as on each side. Nobody in the rotation is scaring me. Now Bieber fully healthy, yes, but he's coming off Tommy John. So I mean, I don't know if he's going to be, the same as he once was. So Ortiz is fine. I mean, he's okay, but these guys are just okay. They don't have a ceiling like I can say with Kansas City has a ceiling that we think they could hit. But they don't have the star power. Cleveland doesn't. They have the bullpen, of course. They play great defense, but I think that can only take you so far, especially when we think that the White Sox are going to be a little bit better. So you can't beat up on them for X amount of games. And then the other teams in the conference aren't, on that same. They're not they're on the same level to me. So it's pretty much a coin flip in the series. So I'm going under. I think the Guardians go back to the pack a little bit, and I think that's evident in the win total. So under 82.5.
Yeah, it was a big season for the Guardians last year. First year manager Stephen Vogt, he gave a nice bounce back year for them. They went 92-69. They went to the ALCS. That came after a 78-86 year in 2023. Surprisingly, their win total went up 3 games from last offseason. And like you said, they're projected around 4th in the division. I don't know. They kind of have similar depth chart than from last year. Carlos Santana, you mentioned, he's going to be 39 this year. He's expected to start at first base. They traded away Josh Naylor. They also traded for Luis Ortiz for some rotation depth. They signed Paul Sewell to improve their bullpen. That's the one thing I could agree. They have a top 5 bullpen, and that's what kind of gets them everywhere. But when Shane Bieber's not there, look at this lineup or this rotation.
Bro, it's a lot of mid guys. It's nobody that I'm comfortable with going out and saying, oh yeah, okay, I'll bet my money on these.
Except my boy, remember Cal Quantrill a couple years ago? He was elite. But after that, Tristan McKenzie fell off a cliff.
I love Tristan McKenzie though, but he's just he's not the same.
He's not the same. Gavin Williams, he almost had a 5 ERA. Ben Lively.
Mal loves being lively, bro.
I know. And then Tanner Bybee. I mean, that's your 2. You can't compete in this division with that rotation. And how much can you depend on Shane Bieber coming off of Tommy John? That's my biggest thing. So my best bet for the Guardians this season, them to miss the playoffs at -130. I know some people probably not going to want to lay a -130 for 7 months of action, but we got to remember how fortunate this team was in 2024. They were scared by an elite bullpen, timely hitting. They, like you said, they have a great defense. That's not exactly a great formula. Their lineup, they ranked 17th in WRC plus. Mm-hmm. It was boosted by a rare 1-year blimp from Progressive Field as well. They're starting pitching or rotation 24th in field independent. Lonte, personally, I'm just not willing to bet on them on a repeated season
I agree. Yeah,
like last year in a division where I only think one team is going to make the playoffs.
Right.
So I just don't think this is going to be that team. So, yeah, give me the Cleveland, I almost said Indians, Cleveland Guardians to miss the playoffs at -130.
Yeah, man, and I agree. Like, I think we're coming in with the same thought process because of, and that's a good point you brought up about the field being kind of an outlier year or season for them in that field. I mean, they just don't have enough. Like, I don't really trust anybody on either side of the ball. Noel is fine and he can be a breakout star, but again, I mean, we haven't seen it, so I can't like bet on that. And that would be the only guy that has the top end talent. I mean, maybe it's a couple other guys that are decent, but I just can't count on those guys to be consistently good for an entire season. So I love the under. I love that 130 to miss the playoffs. So that we'll take that to the bank as well. So I'll take both of those as well. Anything else you got on these guys?
Yeah, no, just not very high on them. I will be in certain spots looking to back Shane Bieber, but that's about it, to be honest.
Well, if McKenzie looks, I want to see what McKenzie looks, how McKenzie looks, and I mean, because at the end of the day, their bullpen is so elite. I mean, 2-1, they probably can shut teams down.
A lot of unders.
Yeah, like they probably can shut teams down. Like,
but outside of like, I know I mentioned Carlos Santana, but he's going to be 39. Jose Ramirez. He's kind of past his prime. I love Steven Kwan.
Love Kwan. Kwan's going to get on base. He's going to hit. He's going to hit for
Lane
average.
Thomas is good in the middle of the lineup.
Oh, I like Lane Train. Yeah, I like him better when he's in Washington.
But that's about it.
But it's just a lot of guys who are just like, okay, they're cool, but
no power.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So they didn't do a good job of addressing that. I thought they needed some more pitching. It's just a lot of the guys are somewhat the same, which honestly it raises their floor, but their ceiling is just like capped out to what they can be. So that's how I feel about them. So yeah, we'll go under there. All right, D-Rock, we got a couple more teams to get to, which all pretty much the win total is for these next two teams are the same. So we'll just toss a coin and go from there. But before we do, when it comes to college basketball and March Mania, one thing is for sure, nothing's for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Cinderella's advancing, except for High Point if you're D-Rock. Top seeds going home early, it's all going to happen. Bet the unexpected, every upset, every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. With live betting, exclusive content, promos, and parlays, DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. First time, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers, bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instant. I would probably plan to use if I had 200 D-Rock, I would probably put it on UCLA tonight. UCLA and Kansas. Get you a nice little parlay between UCLA and Kansas. I think you'll be good to go. You'll build that bankroll for tomorrow. So yes, and let me get the.
I'm on McKenzie State plus 7.5. They're winning outright so far.
Oh yeah. Will, shout out Will Wade. Yeah, shout out Will Wade. Yeah.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Yeah, and we're also brought to you by Rhythm. So Rhythm was throwing an epic March Madness party that me and D-Rock were not there for, but the guys were there. They had a good time. And Scott lost his voice, so he was there. They're still there. If you're in town, go check those guys out. It gets better. Rhythm is also giving away $250 March Madness future for one random lucky Rhythm user. Even if you can't make the party, you can still get the future bet. Rhythm's March Madness stats and success from 2004 with UConn winning. Our percentage of winners was 39% higher than any ESPN bracket as a whole. Rhythm had 34% of the brackets. ESPN had 24.7% of the brackets. Rhythm predicted Duquesne, NC State, shout out, and Oakland upsets. 45% of Rhythm brackets had NC State reaching the Sweet 16. Yeah, D-Rock. So I guess so Detroit and Kansas City have the same exact win total, 83.5. Do you have a preference?
Yeah, let's go to Kansas City.
Yeah, cool. That's fine. So So yeah, Kansas City right now at DraftKings Sportsbook, 83.5. It's pretty much even, $1.10 on each way. I'll let you start it off. You want to start it off with these guys?
Yeah, they put together one of the most impressive turnarounds in baseball last year. 86 and 76. They reached the ALDS one season after losing 106 games. I guess my question to you and to the listeners also is: did the Royals do enough to address their flaws?
No.
Looking at them, they kind of have a similar roster. They made minimal moves. The most significant addition came in the leadoff. Getting Jonathan India, I think, is really going to help their lineup. They put someone on base in front of Bobby Witt Jr., who is an absolute superstar. The deal did cost him Brady Singer, but I just don't. My problem is their outfield situation. It's one of the worst in baseball. India could see some playing time in left field, but maybe we could see a breakout season from MJ Melendez. He is 26. It's his fourth year in the majors. Career OPS of 94. It's easy to be skeptical of him putting it together, but it's worth noting that his personal Instagram did show him working on his changes that he's made over the winter. It remains to be seen if MJ Melendez will avoid falling into, his old bad habits that we're used to seeing from that swing. So could alter the lookout and this lineup for the Royals this season. He is a former second round pick. So he's an exciting prospect. We'll see what he could do. But, the preseason win time, it climbed 9 games from last year of 73.5. It's at 82.5 or 83, whatever you're seeing. But I'm going to go under 82.5 wins here. I'm skeptical. Call me
83.5, man.
83.
83.5 at DraftKings right now.
I'm going to go under. I'm skeptical. I just mentioned I didn't think they solved their outfield issues, particularly if Melendez remains the same player. And I also think Kansas City benefited last year from tremendous health, something I'd bet against happening again, after Cole Reagans, Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, they all pitched career high innings. I highly doubt that we're going to see that again. The Royals have only had 5 winning seasons in the last 30 years. And let's not forget, they lost 106 games in 2023. I think the market might have overreacted after a season where everything kind of broke right for Kansas City and in a way of making to the playoff appearance. So I just don't think it's going to happen 2 years in a row. Call me a non-believer. I'm just very skeptical. I'm going to fade them this season. Give me under 83.5 wins for the Royals.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I like the under. I like the addition of India. I love Bobby Witt. How can you not? I like Sal. But after that, it's just kind of it's kind of whatever. I mean, last year's playoff appearance was the first since 2000, and it was 15. So credit to them. I think that's one of the best turnarounds that we've seen. Maybe the White Sox can have a similar turnaround. We talked about them. But yeah, the outfield is horrible. They didn't do a ton to address it. I love Reagans, love Lugo, love Wacha. They all pitched really well. And you talked about the career high in innings. They were 7th in ERA. Extremely healthy, which, I mean, obviously that's something that you can't project. But I'm interested to see how guys come off. I mean, in the past, we've seen guys come off of career innings or career starts or whatever the case may be, and they didn't look the same in the second year. Now we have the expectation of them to kind of be good. Last year was I guess they were kind of the hot team, kind of like what Detroit is now. And I'll be interested to see how they deal with having to be able to go into games and what in our world being favored and expected to win. How do they deal with that? Because there's something they're not used to. So the one thing that's really keeping me off is I like teams that can win on the road. This team is like, if you look at some of their splits, they're completely drastic from home and away. And a lot of their damage was done by Bobby Witt. I mean, coming up in big spot after big spot with guys on. And India's going to help that out, with some protection in front of them. Sal being there is good as well. But I just don't think they're good enough yet. I think they still need to make a few moves. Now, maybe there'll be a team at the deadline that'll be buyers and kind of upgrade both sides of the baseball. I think their rotation is fine. I mean,
after Michael Wacha, you gonna trust Chris Bubich or Michael Lorenzen?
Yeah, so Lorenzen did have that no hitter.
He did.
But I'm with you though. Like I really, that's why I said I think there'll be buyers at the deadline. And
They have to
again,
be.
yeah, and again, what happens if? I mean, obviously not wishing this, but what happens if Lugo has to miss a stretch, 6 weeks, 5 weeks? What happens if Lugo has to miss Reagan's? Like, what happens if these top two guys have to miss, and now you have to rely on those fourth and fifth guys to come in and be ones and twos, which is not what they're accustomed to being. And their bullpen is, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's okay. It's like it's serviceable.
Yeah, it's
so
like middle of the pack.
Yeah, so it's not like it's Cleveland where you can get to the fifth inning and okay, we can turn it over to the bullpen and be fine. They're not that type of team. So I'm going under here as well. I just think that we have a little bit overcorrected for the Royals, and I'm interested to see how they deal with success. Obviously, I mean Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be primed for a big year. I mean he has to play well. I think they're too dependent upon him. I mean if he doesn't play well, they don't win. Simple as that. Simple as that.
Did you see he hurt his hand in spring training, but they said he'll be fine.
I didn't see that. I did not see that.
He got hit and it was like the top of his hand. They said x-rays were negative. He said they'll be fine, but yeah, if he goes down, they're not good, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and God forbid that happens and he has to miss extended time. And in a division where, I mean, they're fine with Bobby Witt, but if he goes out, like they're not. Yeah, they're like a bottom team. You know what I'm saying? So, and the win totals are telling you that all of these teams outside of Chicago are in the same realm. It's no really runaway with it. So you have to be consistent in your work. And I just don't think they lifted their ceiling enough to be in the upper echelon and of the division. So yeah, I'm going under. I gotta put a small wager on them to miss the playoffs, D-Rock. I'm gonna put a small wager on them to miss the playoffs.
What is that at?
It's at DraftKings right now. Let me get the correct price for you.
How many teams realistically, we're going through them? How many teams, because the odds are saying they're all neck and neck. There's no real margin for error. How many teams do you really think are going to make the playoffs?
One. That's from here. Just the division winner. That's it. I don't think they'll be able to. I don't think they'll be able to do anything. I don't see it. I thought I saw. Oh wait, I got it right here. The Kansas City Royals to miss. Now shop around, but it's $1.30. It's the same as they got the same exact price as the Guardians. Like, so that's just showing you that this division is pretty much a crapshoot. Yeah, and things have to go right. So I really do think that they'll regress a little bit. If they have to deal with any injuries on the rotation or Bobby Witt, they could be bad. They could be bad. So anything else on this, D-Rock, before we move on? We got two more teams to rock out with.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good with this team.
Okay, cool. So we'll go on to another team who I'm high on, and I know the market is high on this team as well, is going to be the Detroit Tigers. They have the same exact win total, 83.5, 110 each way. They were one of the hot. I'll start it off, D-Rock, unless you want to go first.
No, you got it.
Yeah, so they were the hottest team in the league. Post All-Star break, they played really, really well. Their last division title was in 2014. So they're looking to, in the drought of, 11 plus years. Their rotation, man, Scuba and Flaherty, deadly 1-2 punch. And I think if they would have had Flaherty, and Flaherty said this in an interview, I think if they would have had him, they would have won that series. And I mean, maybe, but they were fourth in ERA. Bullpen is elite, 8th in ERA. I'm looking forward to seeing Jackson Jobe. Interested to hear your thoughts about him. I think he's one of the top prospects. I think he'll be ready to go. Their offense, man, you have to get some more offense from them. They're getting Kerry Carpenter back. He needs to be elite. They need to see elite from Parker Meadows. I mean, they struck out a lot. They didn't walk enough. 29th in on base percentage last year, 24th in home runs. Listen, they don't have to score like 5 or 6 runs a night, man. They just have to look. You got a good bullpen. You got 2 aces who are really, really good, and the back end of that rotation it's okay. I mean, maybe an upgrade here or there, but when you got pitchers like Flaherty and Scooble, you do not have to score 5 or 6 runs. Give me 3 runs, win 3-1 if you have to, but your offense has to be better. I mean, because it's going to be some games that those guys don't have. It's going to be some days that your 3, 4, and 5 are just not good enough, or your bullpen going to blow a game. Can you sustain offensively enough to help your pitchers out? Because, I mean, we know Scuba, we can pencil Scuba and Flaherty in for, sub 2 ERA. They're going to pitch well in big spots against in big games. So I think I'm going over here. I got them to win the division. I personally think they should be favored to win the division, to be honest. So I'm really high on Detroit. If they can get that offense humming, I think they're the best team in this division with a marker. And that's how confident I am in this team. So that's how I feel about them, D-Rock.
Yeah, what a second half of the season for the Tigers last year. First playoff berth in a decade. 86 and 76 last year. They're obviously looking to build off that momentum. They did lose to the Guardians in the ALDS, but a couple notable upgrades. They did move. They almost got him. I thought that they were going to be the sneaky team to get Alex Bregman. I really thought so. But
yeah, me too.
Boston swept in and got him. They did sign Gleyber Torres to play second. I know, but it's a little bit of an upgrade.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, with their offense, yeah, you're right.
They did get Jack Flaherty back in the rotation, and I agree. I mean, that 1-2 punch is lethal with Tariq Skubal and Jack Flaherty. Reese Olson will probably be their number 3. Casey Mize, maybe 4. It'll be all right. One player I think could be interesting. Starting pitcher Jackson Jobe. I think he could provide some intriguing depth to the rotation. Maybe a number 5. He's only 22 years old. He's a former number 3 overall pick back in 2021. He pitched 5 2/3 relief innings last year between the regular season and the playoffs. He got some time as well, and he he is one of the MLB's top positioning prospects, and we'll see if there's potential there to get some starting pitching and some innings in and get that 5th spot. He is plus 650 to win AL Rookie of the Year. That's giving him the 3rd best odds in the market. I think it's worth watching how his odds adjust if he does become that 5th starter. So I would definitely keep an eye on him this season. But yeah, I agree with you, Lonte. I do think they should be the favorite. I'm going to take them to win the division. I got it at plus 250. They opened up at plus 290, and I agree with the line movement. The
3-1 offshore. I got 3-1 offshore.
No free shout outs, but yeah, definitely let me know. They haven't won the division since 2014, but I think it ends this season. I think it's going to be a 2-team race between the Tigers and the Twins, who we'll get to, but my number is projected around 87 to 88 wins. So I like the over 83, 84 wins for them as well. And when you factor the shaky health of the Twins, who we'll get to, I prefer backing the Tigers in this division. Skubal is the best pitcher in this division by a mile, coming off that Cy Young campaign. And, Detroit, they have room for even more growth between its young players in the lineup and the pitching staff, who I just mentioned. So I think the time is now. I think they're going to be buyers at the deadline. They have to. In a division that's kind of up for grab, I'm going to take the Tigers. I agree. I think they should be favored to win the division, and I think on paper they're the best team.
Yep, I 100% agree. I mean, we've pretty much been like higher, lower.
What could go wrong?
Right. But I mean, somebody has to be good and somebody has to be, middling. And I think a lot of these teams are middling, but they're just not as good. And they all have flaws. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But before we get into the last team, D-Rock, let's talk about Underdog Fantasy. Time for bonus Underdog Pick'em. Underdog Pick'em, you can play any sport and win up to 100x your money. Here's a Pick'em entry I like today. Me and Scott went with a basketball entry. We went with higher. We went higher on Kobe White points and rebounds. We went higher on Giannis points and rebounds, and we went higher on, I think, Bridges.
I got one.
What you got? Give it out. Let's go.
Draymond Green higher 21.5 par. Toronto can't play defense to save their life. And I'm not the biggest NBA guy, but after the All-Star break and them getting Jimmy Butler, we've seen an uptick in Draymond Green. He could definitely dish the ball.
There we go. I think Scott liked his steals and blocks higher 2.5. So that's something else as well. So to sign up, use MLB SGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to 1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code MLB SGPN. Also brought to you by Edge Boost. SGPN has partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied. I hate when that happens at a sportsbook. DFS site, sweepstakes site, racetrack, or casino. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards on using your Edge Boost card. And you know your money is safe. As safe as the card is FDIC insured. The best part is no credit checks, and it is completely free. You can sign up today using Edge Boost and enter our free $2,000 bracket. Well, you can't enter that bracket right now because it's over. But sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket if you want to look at some standings. sportsgambling.com/bracket. All right, D-Rock, man, we got one team left. We have the betting favorite. I put that in quotation marks. We got the Minnesota Twins, man. Their win total is, let me get an update on DraftKings Sportsbook, is, well, actually, let's start with that playoffs. So to make the playoffs, so they're this is why it's so weird, and this division is crazy. To make the playoffs, they're plus 105. To miss, they're minus 125. That's just like so weird to me.
Yeah.
But they're the favorite to win the division. That's just so
how does
weird
that make sense? And you're plus money to make the playoffs.
But I don't get it, man. I really don't get it. But I'm trying to find their win total. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
I had 83.5. I think they were just one more.
DraftKings has 84.5, which is $1.10. Like just like every other team in the division, it's $1.10 each way. B-Rock, you want to start us off with the Twins?
Yeah, I think, the story of the 2024 Twins, I think it began with some optimism. They were coming off their first postseason season victory in 22 years. They were kind of expected to take that next step, as a preseason favorite in kind of a weak division. Instead, Minnesota watched 3 of its American League rivals make the playoffs. They came in 4th, 82-80. I mean, they kind of have a similar roster, really not doing much in free agency for the second straight offseason. One player I'm going to keep an eye on, though, for the Minnesota Twins, Royce Lewis. Injuries really, they've limited him to 152 games across his first 3 seasons in the majors. But I think he's shown flashes of his talent when he is on the field. He did hit 4 home runs in 6 games in the postseason in 2023. Followed that up with 10 home runs in the first 16 games last year. He was multiple IL stints last year as well. He eventually only played 58 games, 58 of the last 61 games. So we did see some health down the stretch, but production definitely dipped from moving from third base to second. Still, I think it's a promising sign from him in the organization that he was able to stay healthy down the stretch. So, I could see Lewis kind of having a pivotal role in the middle of the lineup. If you're looking at the Minnesota Twins lineup, Royce Lewis, he's kind of sitting in that 4 or 5 hole. You got Willie Castro probably at leadoff, Carlos Correa at second, maybe Brunson at 3rd or 4th. And you got Royce Lewis, I would say, in that 4th or 5th hole. So that's one guy I am keeping an eye on. But I got it a little earlier. I got it like a week before while we got assigned these divisions, but I'm going to take the Twins. I got the Twins to make the playoffs at plus 120. I do think they'll be able to. Now you're saying it's at plus 105. Money has come in on it. So I agree with the line movement, but they entered September in 2nd place in the AL Central and had a 92% chance of making the playoffs. The Twins finished behind 3 division rivals. They went 9-18, Lonte, during that final month. What a collapse. And after a quiet offseason, the Twins, they're kind of the same team as they were last year. The difference is we're getting more value to buy on Minnesota compared to last year. The Twins, they still have the same flaws, particularly I mentioned a little earlier with their best players being injury prone. I'm more willing to buy into their ceiling outcome at a plus 120. The division odds were enticing, but I'd rather take them to make the postseason in a weak division or a weak conference for that matter. So I do think they'll be able to get into a wild card game. But Yeah, that was the way I came down on the Twins at plus 120. I think it was kind of enticing.
Yeah, and then still shop around. I mean, that's just one book that we're looking at. I was looking at DraftKings. So I'm in agreement with you. I think it's better to take that to make the playoff price at a plus price than take the win total. Now, again, they were minus 125 to win the division last year, so you're definitely getting a ton more value, like you mentioned earlier. So my thing with them is the injury bug. Like, I know it's gonna be what it is for all these teams, but they got like Correa, 86 games. I mean, Royce Lewis, who you mentioned, he's played 152 games in his first 3 years. I mean, but Byron Buxton is bound to get hurt. I mean, I hope he doesn't. But if all things were equal and everybody's staying the same, then I think the Twins and the Tigers are the class of this division. I really do. The Twins just have a little bit more star power than what the Tigers have, and they have a better offense. The issue that I have mostly with them is their rotation. So you got Lopez, Ober, Ryan, Woods Richardson, who I like, Paddock, Festa, and Matthews. Like, none of those guys really, as Mal would say, blow my socks off. They were 21 in ERA, 7 in FIP. I mean, they're poor on defense, so the pitchers are not getting a ton of help behind them. Offensively, they were stagnant. They stole the fewest bases in the league. They've got one playoff win since 2002. I mean, again, I think they fall into that same category. The only difference is, D-Rock, is that I think that their offense is the best in this division. And offense can carry you a long way. Their pitching is, I would say their pitching is maybe right there with Cleveland at the bottom. I think I would go Chicago and then Cleveland, and I would go Cleveland, Minnesota, because they just don't have those arms that I can confidently say, hey, I'm confident this guy's going to give us what we need in certain spots. Like,
who's your favorite starter?
My favorite is Woods Richardson, but is he the best?
Really?
No.
He's not the best. Yeah,
he's not the best, but I like him in spurts during the season. I felt like he was just really, really good. Mm-hmm. Lopez is probably the best, but again, like, to me, Lopez has been either really, really good or really, really bad. It's no in between. Like, either he's going to come out and give you 6 and a third, 6 and 2/3, 7 and 2/3, or you're going to have to go to the bullpen in the third or fourth inning. Like,
I'm like a Joe Ryan guy. He gives you a lot of innings, and I think there's more upside with him.
Yeah, I like Joe Ryan, and he is the most consistent. So I think what they need Woods Richardson to take a step up and to be more consistent, because he's not been consistent at all. I mean, he had a stretch where he was doing really well. A lot of that was at home. He wasn't pitching too well on the road. So that's another step in his development that I think he should be able to step into this year. But again, if their offense is fully healthy, then, I mean, those guys just have to pitch, give up 1 or 2, and they'll be fine. The offense, maybe with Correa, Royce Lewis, and Buxton in that lineup, I mean, they can do some damage. And their bullpen is okay. It's not terrible. So I'm going with them to make the playoffs at the plus money. So it's plus 105 at DraftKings. Shop around. You might find better. But as for this specific bet, I think the win total is perfect. If you want to go exotic, I think if you play like an exacta, which DraftKings has, you can play exactas. You can play. I'll play Tigers 1, Minnesota 2, and then Minnesota 1, Tigers 2. I think if you play those two, you can come out a winner on each side, because I really think that those two teams are the cream of the crop in this division, and I think the other teams are just fighting for middle ground, unless Kansas City makes some type of move during the regular season where they get a couple bats or an arm in there, and they don't sustain a ton of injuries throughout the process. So that's how I'm looking at it with Minnesota. Did you have anything else before we get to the best bet of the show, D-Rock?
Yeah, no, you couldn't have said it better. I love it. We're all aligned.
Yeah, man. So we'll end it with, I guess, a favorite bet that you like, D-Rock. It can be division, playoff, whatever. If you want, you got a Cy Young candidate, whatever.
I know it might. Yeah, I know it might sound. We were kind of pessimistic on some of these teams, but I like White Sox over 53.5 wins. I think that's a very good bet. And my best bet I'm gonna take the Tigers to win the division at plus 250. I think the time is now. They enter the upcoming season plenty of momentum. After that second half of the season, they have the most momentum, I think. You know, they were the hottest team in baseball after the trade deadline. And this roster projects to even be better. You know, they have more rotation depth behind Tariq Skubal. They go out and get Jack Flaherty again. They have a top 10 rotation in the league. The lineup, young, but I think there's room for growth. They were 29th in on-base percentage last year, but there's a lot to like in this team, and I think they're young. They have a lot of talent. Riley Green could be a player who earns a couple MVP votes after netting his first All-Star last season. So I just think the time is now. I think that this is the first time winning the division since 2014. Give me the Tigers. That's my best bet to win the division.
Yeah, I won't go the same with you, but let's go with the Twins, plus 105 to make the playoffs. I mean, again, I think that only one team may make it. But again, if things go wrong in Detroit and we're wrong, I think Minnesota can steal a spot. Or, you know, in the AL, I mean, they could sneak in and get a playoff spot if they're playing well. I mean, we never know what's going on with these other divisions and teams and things like that. So let's go plus 105, Minnesota Twins. But I will preface this by saying D-Rock's bet is one of my favorite bets of the year, not just in this division. So,
we are aligned.
Yeah, so I like that, man. Well, D-Rock, that's gonna wrap it up for the AL Central. I don't know if you had anything else you want to say. I know we're getting close to the season. We're a few weeks out.
No, we're Thursday, the 27th. We are 27th. A few days away.
2 days out. A week away, exactly.
Yeah,
a week
away. So yeah, we got a couple more. I know Mal and I were gonna do Rookie of the Year and Cy Young a little later in the week. I know you're going to be on with Manager of the Week with Scott. So, yeah, we got a couple more futures to put out before the regular season. Before you know it, kid, we're right there.
Yeah, man, for sure. So I'm looking forward to that. Hope everybody – I mean, I know everybody's enjoying March Madness, but, yeah, we got the baseball kicking off right in between the NBA playoffs and then kind of the slowing down process of March Madness. So we'll get into it, and we'll be here every day – well, Monday through Friday. Not every day. I know some people were saying they want it every day, but it's trying to kill us over here, D-Rock. But yeah, so man, we hope everybody enjoys their week and enjoy their Friday. I know a lot of people will be, you know, kind of taking off work, faking sick or whatever to get to stay in front of the TV for tomorrow. But yeah, man, that's it. That's the AL Central wrapped up as best we can. We got some good information in there. Yeah, we'll be back. I don't know the exact date, but we'll be back later next week to kind of wrap up the previews, and we'll be into the season on Thursday. So, D-Rock, if you don't have anything else to say, man, we can end the show here and hope everybody has a good one.